Oh boy, so it looks like the Japanese are beginning to wake up to what's going on in the West. Let's talk about it. So we got a pretty interesting video for you today. So it seems that there is a clip from the Tokyo Game Show that is burning up the interwebs, particularly on the culture war space. And it is this clip of former Shonen Jump editor Torishima and Yuji Horii, creator of Dragon Quest, and they were kind of talking about some stuff at TGS on this live stream, and they kind of went into some things that kind of coincide with a lot of things the culture warriors are talking about, particularly the body type A, body type B type of, non-binary gender stuff that they insert into games. And there's a little bit of a censorship conversation as well. We're going to break all that down for you today. So, of course, if you want to continue getting videos like this from me, like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell button, do all that good stuff that YouTube requires you to do to continue getting videos from me. Follow me on twitter.com/rsmario128. Like my video tweet, share my video tweet, and I will shout you out right here at this portion of the video. All right, we're going to start off this breakdown with probably the easiest part to explain, and that is the Yuji Horii part.
主人公もね、男女選べるんだけど、男女選ぶって書いていけないのね。タイプ1、タイプ2なのね。ねえ。これ男女って誰が一体文句言うんだろうと思うんだよね。
Now this right here, if you want to say this is influenced by the West, it 135% is. This is exactly what Az was talking about. You know what I'm saying? When he did his big rant about Starfield, you know what I'm saying, earlier this year. This is exactly what he was talking about. You know what I'm saying? Now, what they're talking about is the body type A, body type B situation, where basically you can't really have male and female genders because 1%, a fraction of the population, don't believe in the gender binary, and if they see the gender binary, it's going to make them sad, you know.
I'm gonna kill myself! Wow. I'm going to kill myself, and it's your fault!
So you can't really have that in video games anymore. And I think this is kind of crazy, you know, and this is where the culture warriors are absolutely right. All right. This is influenced by the West. Now, the problem is, I'm not sure why you have to put it in the Japanese version of the game, because this is 2024. We have these things called patches, right? So, I mean, you can make the Japanese version of the game and then just add in a patch that will, you know what I'm saying, basically just, you know, put in the extra content that you need. So if you need to patch in a pair of shorts for her, you can patch in the pair of shorts. If you need to patch in body type A and body type B, you can do that. There's only two reasons why they wouldn't have done this. Either A, you know what I'm saying, there's like maybe a woke person within the Japanese company, which I kind of doubt it, but it's possible. Or B, Square Enix was either too cheap or too lazy to actually make the patch. And knowing Square Enix nowadays, they probably were just too cheap. You know what I'm saying? And that's what it is. So, I mean, they don't really have to put the body type thing in the Japanese version of the game. All right? This whole thing about, like, the wokeness influencing the Japanese version of the game, I don't think it's 100% true, because all you really have to do is make a patch for the English version. Like, the American companies aren't going to force the Japanese companies to make the game that way in Japan. They're only worried about in America. They can't force them to do it in Japan. The only person that can the only group that can dictate Japanese games in Japan is CERO, which is a Japanese organization. And when Yuji, when he says like, oh, like who's complaining about this? Like, he's actually kind of right about this, because he doesn't really know about like non-binary people or woke. He doesn't know about all that kind of stuff, because again, this is Japan. Japan has been sexually progressive for a long time, long before the West was, you know what I'm saying? So they don't really have these same issues. You know, most Japanese people, you know, like, especially the ones that play around with gender, they don't really care about the gender binary like that. You know what I'm saying? They kind of know if they're a boy or a girl or not, but they'll just play with the gender, you know, if they want to. Like kind of like, you know, the Oda Kanokos, you know, from that, you know, that anime that came out recently, you know, the one that everybody said was woke, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, you know, that they've been doing stuff like that forever. I mean, just look at all the other like gender bent. Look, here's a clip from my from one of my other videos talking about this. Japan has been playing with gender long before America. Okay, like the East, as far as, you know, Japan, Korea, all those countries, they are way more sexually progressive than the West. All right, so they've been playing around with gender for. Look at that new like weird thick Shota character from the anime that's coming out this spring. Yes, I'm going to be doing a spring anime video. Hopefully I can get it out before the end of the week. You know what I'm saying? That video, like, I mean, that character is one of the examples of them playing with gender. Same thing, you look at somebody like Griffith. All right, Griffith is one of the most important anime villains of all time. Guess what? Griffith is very androgynous. Okay? All right, and Griffith totally got his cheeks clapped in the story, okay? All right, so yeah, and don't even get me started with other characters like Ed from Cowboy Bebop. You know what I'm saying? Do I have to go into the traps? Do we have to go into the traps? Like Astolfo, you know what I'm saying, from the Fate, you wanted one of the 37 different Fate shows, you know, freaking Bridget from Guilty Gear. Do you remember Bridget? All right, you remember the memes? You know what I'm saying? So yeah, Japan has been playing around with sexuality for a while. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Another thing is, I don't think this is a CERO issue, mainly because CERO doesn't talk about gender in their restrictions when they talk about, you know, video games. Like the things that they look for that determine what age, you know, rank that your game's going to be in, they don't really care about gender that much. Like they have sexual evoking expression, but that's more like sexual innuendo or sexual idioms and stuff like that. So it's not like, you know, actual like gender expression. The closest thing to it would be like language and ideology related expression, you know. But I mean, that's so broad that it could be anything. That could be like, oh, you know, there are, you know, just two genders, or it could be somebody literally goose stepping through the background of the game. Like that could be anything. You know what I'm saying? So really, like this is definitely an influence of the West. And a lot of games have been doing it. I mean, Pokemon did it, you know, World of Warcraft did it. I think Monster Hunter is also doing it. So yeah, if you want to say that is one, yeah, that's one. But the shorts, nah, the shorts are most definitely a CERO thing.
あとすごい話題になってたそのコスチュームとか当時とそのままなのかどうなのかみたいなのがありましたよね。また。
まあね、いろいろ規制もあってね、露出してきちゃいけないとかね。
そこまあちょっとあんまり深掘りする気はないんですけど。いいのにだってフィクションだけどその中に主人公というあなたが入って冒険するっていうことでいいじゃないと思うんですけど違うんですかね。
なんですかね。よくわかんないですけどね、これについてはね。
ゲームだし、まあフィクションという自分の中のこうバーチャル体験でのノンフィクションだから楽しくければいいのにっていうふうに思っちゃいますけどね。
Bro, who is this chick, bro? She's like super based, man. Bro, we need more chicks like her in gaming, bro. We need to find some chicks in America like her. But she's like super based, man.
露出するとね、年齢が上がっちゃうっていうね。全年齢じゃなくなってしまうっていうのがあったりとか。
まあルールがやっぱなんか各国違ったりするんでね。広くろうと思うと。
By the way, this part right here kind of annoys me because they start talking about like, you know, age restrictions and stuff like that, which is specifically, you know, Yuji Horii, because that's really what this is about. All right. You know what I'm saying? Now, Torishima was going to kind of veer off a little bit, but this dude right here, whoever this other person is, this other person gets on my nerves because this whole thing, they weren't even talking about from country to country. They were talking about in Japan. All right. But he kind of veers it off. Like he literally cuts them off to be like, oh, well, you know, from country to country, it's kind of different to sell video games. Ain't nobody asked you to say all that.
一番厳しいところに合わせざるを得ないとか。
でも
当時そんなこと思わなかったですけどね。
コンプラっていう名のね、やっぱりね、ある種のね、なんだろうな、絶対心というべき、善の名を借りた悪みたいなのがあるよね。全員が不快感を覚えないなんてことはないわけ。だって不快なことを覚える動向でもいいわけよ。だって綺麗汚いとかさ、善悪って人それぞれに感じ方があるわけじゃん。で物事はやっぱり根っこにあるのはやっぱり絶対やっちゃいけないことだけいくつかあって、それさえやらなきゃあとはいいじゃないって、そういうのがないわけよ。
Now, he's kind of right about this too. This is really kind of the way it should be. All right, there should be like guardrails to make sure somebody doesn't veer off and create something like terrible or horrible or something like that. But for the most part, everything in between those guardrails should be free reign. All right, you know what I'm saying? You should be free to just kind of, as long as you're not doing something over the top crazy, you should be able to be free to tell whatever story you want to tell.
だからやっぱり欧米の方から来てるその宗教的な概念から来るその正教徒の考え方ってアメリカにあるじゃない。彼らのコンプラの考え方。
All right, so this point right here is where a lot of people were trying to get this twisted. They were kind of twisting this to like fit a specific narrative. Because he says that there's a religious concept from the West, especially in America, that influences their approach to sex education. And he's basically talking about like why they don't like scantily clad women, or why they're so prudish. And this comes from the religious right. All right, you have to remember, like wokeness wasn't always a thing. Okay, all right, and long before there was wokeness or progressivism or any of this stuff, there was like conservative Christian censorship. All right, localization itself. You know what I'm saying? Every piece of media you've ever indulged in has been localized. That is because of the religious right. The religious right controlled at that point, what was put on TV and what wasn't.
Here's a little piece of information that I'm sure many of you have misinformation about. Man, you guys censored everything that you aired on Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh! And you cut out all the things like guns being pointed at people's heads and swords being shoved in somebody's heart. I can't believe you ruined that anime, that you guys did all this censorship. Do you want to know who did the censorship for all of those shows? Broadcast Standards and Practices. When you air anything during the Saturday morning slot of 6 a.m. to 12 on Saturday mornings in America on any network, that network dictates what you see, not the production company. We would submit every show, every script, every visual to the BSMP for Fox and for WB, and they would come back with a list of things we had to change. We had no say.
All right, remember when WWE had to deal with like the Moms for Liberty or the Million Moms or whatever, and they wanted WWE off the TV because, DX was telling people to suck it, and Rock was telling people what to shove in their orifices. Austin was taking religious concepts like 3:16, which came from John 3:16. He was taking that stuff and then making Austin 3:16. That pissed off a lot of religious people, and they wanted WWE taken off TV. So yes, you know what I'm saying? That's what he's talking about, because you got to remember, he is an elderly Japanese man. He doesn't know what wokeness is. He doesn't know what wokeness is. He doesn't know what intersectionality is, or progressivism, or any of these North American political idioms, because he is a elderly Japanese man in Japan. All right. The only Japanese people that really know what this stuff is like terminally online Japanese people, or like that one woke Japanese lady from like the manga video that I did not too long ago. So they're the only ones that know what wokeness and stuff is. People who have been exposed to it. He doesn't know what it is. So when he's talking on religious concept, he doesn't know that wokeness is like a religion. The only people that refer to wokeness as a religion are people in the West, or people who are in the know with the Western political brain rot. So, nah.
だって本当ね、狭い。でだから向こうでコミックスだけに全部その年齢で 区切ってやらなきゃいけない。少年ジャンプの漫画だったら13アップ、13歳以上じゃないと出せない。私は全部リテイクでなきゃいけない。でそれを訴訟が起きるそのために保険も入らなきゃいけない。もうこんなねバカな国とねやるの本当面倒くさい。でそっから日本も悪影響を受けてやってるから。
Now, right here is the part that a lot of people talk about. Like, when selling manga in America, everything had to be categorized into age groups, which is kind of true. But it's also true about video games in Japan, okay? Because the CERO rating system and the computer entertainment rating organization in Japan is basically like the ESRB in America, and their rating system breaks up games into different age groups. You know, A is like our E, which is basically for all ages. B is like our E10, you know. C is like our teen. You know, D is like our M rating. And of course, Z is like, you know, the AO rating over here. And so they break up their games into age groups as well. All right. The thing is, the CERO rating system has been restrictive for a long time. All right. If you don't want to believe me, you want to say, "Oh, it's the Americans. It's the Americans doing this." Let me give you some examples. Callisto Protocol devs refused to censor their game in Japan. Guess what? Game got banned. Oh, but you don't believe me?
Another one.
Now, in an interview with GameSpark, Suda51 confirmed that the upcoming Shadows of the Damned, the Hella Remastered, was once again censored in Japan, but only on consoles, since the PC version doesn't go through CERO. We had to prepare 2 versions of the game, which is a real challenge, he explained. In remastering the game, we had to develop 2 versions at the same time, which had a tremendous impact on our workload and extended the development period. Suda also added that if regional restrictions are imposed, we have no choice but to adhere to them.
大臣というべき、善の名を借りた悪みたいなのがある。
Oh, but you don't believe me?
Another one.
Shinji Mikami expressed his frustration at the ratings process in Japan, claiming that CERO doesn't understand the process of playing video games. I think it's a strange situation that there are people who want to play edgy games, and there are also those who don't play games and try to prevent their enjoyment by restricting those works with regulations, he said. Now again, they're all talking about CERO. You know what I'm saying? Again.
大臣というべき、善の名を借りた悪みたいなのがある。
Oh, but you don't believe me?
Another one.
Sakurai. One of the first things I see in overseas ratings is no guns. That I can understand, but in Japan they immediately ask, "Could you show us the females upside down?"
What do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean?
Well, are they checking for panty shots? Precisely. Super Smash Bros. For Wii U almost didn't make a scheduled release date due to ratings issues. We had to revise Palutena and Wonder Pink's models over and over again. All because you might be able to see up their skirts. Seriously? We had Palutena wearing shorts and made the inside of Wonder Pink's skirt too dark for anything to see. Nevertheless, CERO told us the designs were sexually provocative. They were being ridiculous and quite frankly juvenile. They put shorts on Palutena. What was the big censorship issue with Dragon Quest? Yeah, shorts. You know what I'm saying? So people saying that, oh, well, this is not CERO. No, this pretty much is CERO. You know what I'm saying? I don't think that the shorts thing was like influenced by the woke anti-heterosexual left in America. This is a CERO thing. They've been doing this since 2012. So now that we've got all the heavy stuff out of the way, we got to get to the fun part of these videos. Reacting to Twitter, we are about to witness the death of Dragon Quest due to a combination of American gender and insanity cult and the CERO rating. The creators are practically screaming at the top of their lungs, "You're killing entertainment." Bro, why are these people so dramatic? Like, oh my god, this reminds me of like the Hogwarts Legacy people when they were like, "Oh my gosh, if you buy the Wizard game, you're killing trans people." Like, stop, okay? Nobody's killing Dragon Quest, okay? A pair of shorts on a character model is not going to kill Dragon Quest, all right? The only way you can kill Dragon Quest if you create a daggone hate campaign against the game and boycott it over a pair of shorts, okay? That might hurt Dragon Quest, even though more than likely people in Japan are probably still going to buy it. Yuji Horii going was not on my bingo sheet. Oh, Lord. So, apparently, you can be a if you disagree with gender politics. Man, Hitler was really hard on all those non-binary people back in the 40s. How hard is it to remake a 2D classic and stay true to the original, leaving late great Akira Toriyama's designs alone? Who cares if the rating goes up? Don't you think Dragon Quest III HD 2D remake targets an aging audience anyway? Kids have no nostalgia for this.
Fuck them kids.
Okay. This dude's one of those like retro gaming people, so maybe he's just thinking about himself. You know what I'm saying? But the whole reason for remakes is not just for the original fans. It's to reintroduce this product to brand new fans. And I don't mean like expanding the fan base, like, you know, the modern audience. I mean to kids who were, you know what I'm saying, who weren't born when this came out. This came out in 1992, okay? So that's a whole generation of people that haven't played this game yet. So, you know, you want it to still be able to be sold to teenagers, but also to the old people that played the game back then too. All right, so that's the point. All right, the kids aren't going to buy this for nostalgia. They're going to buy it because it looks cool. People are not playing Dragon Quest to see Akira Toriyama's fetishes anyway.
I mean, speak for yourself, my dude.
There are entire mangas of that available, you know, and making some designs 2% less off-putting to non-straight cis male player base.
Gay-ass niggas! Not that there's anything wrong with that.
I mean, just because it's off-putting to you doesn't mean it's off-putting to everybody else. Like, remember, you guys are a very small fraction of the fan base. Imagine this. Imagine if there was a food truck, right? And they were selling burgers at the park, right? But there was like 3 people out of everybody in the park that didn't like, you know, hamburgers. They like vegan burgers, right? You know, imagine if he changed all the burgers he sold to veggie burgers just for those 3 people. He would lose all the other people in the park just for the 3 people. That's what you're talking about, okay? I find it ironic that the country that labels itself land of the free is harder to work with than the Gulf Arab states.
It's so funny, right?
I mean, if a pair of shorts makes us worse than the Gulf Arab states, you know what I'm saying? Like, come on now. Like, no. I know this is probably a joke, but it's a stupid joke, okay? It's a pair of shorts, for goodness sakes. It's not like they didn't like put her in a freaking burqa. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is the kind of thing that kills me when it comes to the culture warriors, because they always go overboard. Like, I understand the body type A, body type B thing. I get that. But like this pair of shorts, this is not censorship, okay? It's not. I mean, just because you can see 17% less vagina bone doesn't mean it's censorship. This is the thing I was talking about in the other video. When you get mad over small stuff like this, it makes you look crazy, okay? All right, and it makes it hard to defend your positions if you look crazy. So this hopefully this kind of straightens out what's going on here with the Dragon Quest thing, because for the most part, the culture warriors are right about this, but they just go overboard. They have these weird narratives that kind of poison their opinions a little bit. So that's about it for this. Tell me what you think in the comments down below, and of course, like, comment, subscribe, and as always, people, keep it real.